Open Adobe Illustrator. Create a new file. Set the width to 80 millimeters, the height to 100 millimeters, and in the advanced options, set your color mode to RGB color. Click on Create. To see your document entirely, click on Ctrl-Alt-0 and it'll shape it so you can see the whole thing. You're now going to open your monster that you created in Digital Warriors. So you need to go to File, Place, find your monster, click on Place. It comes in attached to your cursor, and you can click and drag and then release, and you've got your monster placed on your page. Now I want my monster to fill the whole of my document, going very close to the edges. So I'm going to use the handles to resize my monster. If I pull on one of the corner handles, it keeps it in proportion. If I pull on a side handle, it will distort it. However, if I hold the Shift key down at the same time, it will keep it in proportion. So we're trying to make sure that our monster nearly comes to this black outline here, which is the outline of our document. You may need to zoom out a little. By clicking on the Alt key, it changes the zoom in to a zoom out, and you can see all of your document, all of your monster. So I'm going to just do a little more manipulation. Make sure I'm on the Select key. Move my monster around a little bit. This one's a little too close to the edge. I'm happy with that. I'm now going to save it. File, Save As. I'm going to call it Wilkins Monster 1. I'm going to save that. Now I've got my monster into my document, I'm going to create my cutting line. So I'm going to create a cutting line that goes around the whole outside of my monster. So on my Layers palette, I want to add a new layer, and I want to call that Cutting. I'm going to use the pen tool. I'm going to set the color of the pen to RGB red, and I can do that by double clicking on the stroke here and changing the R to 255, the G to 0, and the B to 0. Click on OK. I also need to change the fill to none. So now when I draw with my pen, I'll get a red outline to show where the cutting line is. So make sure you click on the cutting layer so that the cutting make sure that you click on the cutting layer so the cutting layer is active and you're drawing on that layer. Go to your pen tool, click and hold and make sure you've got the top pen tool selected. And I'm going to start in a corner. So in this instance I want to zoom in a little more just so I can get a better detail. Go back to my pen. I'm going to click and hold my mouse key down to create a curve, and then I'm going to click again. This time I want it to be sharp. Click and hold to create a curve. Made an error there. Control Z to undo. Again, Control Z to undo. Control Alt 0 to see the whole thing. So I've made a red outline, that's my cutting line. I can turn my bottom layer off to see that, and you can see it's a little bit wonky. So it's very easy to go back in and edit it. You can zoom in. Go back to the direct selection tool, click on one of the handles, and you can make modifications by moving the handle or even moving the anchor point. So I'm going to slowly go around and just reshape my monster to make the outline look a bit more smooth. You can use the handle tool, direct selection tool. Some of your anchor points might not be handles, they might just be anchors. If you want to curve them, click up here. Make sure you select the anchor point and it should put a handle on it for you. Now I've got handles on there, I can reshape it a little. Use the hand tool to keep going around. Now you must remember when you're using the direct selection tool to click on the anchor point you want to work with first to select it, the handle will appear, and then you can make your modification. So click on the anchor point to select it and then make your modification. You also might find you've got too many anchor points and you want to delete some of them. Just zoom in, and then if you go to the pen tool you can do a delete anchor point and click back on the one that you've selected and it deletes your anchor point. If you don't have enough anchor points to make the shape that you want to do, you can click on add anchor point and making sure you're clicking on the path, click, it'll add an anchor point, and then you can edit that anchor point and move it around where you want to. Control-Alt-0 shows you the whole thing. I'm pretty happy with the top. This eye is good, around here is good. I've even the feet up. I just need to do a bit more work in this area here. So I'll come back to you when I'm finished. So I'm pretty happy with that. It's not an exact copy, but I've made a few corrections and smoothed some edges out. If I turn off layer 1, you can see I've got a pretty smooth outline, so I'm happy with that. We're going to draw the engraving lines now. Usually you would do them in black, but black on black will be hard to see. So in this case, I'm going to draw it in blue, and then I'm going to change it to black once I'm finished. So I'm going to start with the pen tool again, and I'm going to zoom into my mouth area and make that fill my screen as much as possible. Pen tool, and then I'm going to start drawing. So I'm going to draw the dimples. So you can see my pen tool is attached here. To deselect it, I'm just going to click on my selection tool and then go back to my pen tool. Draw another dimple. Selection tool, pen tool. So if I turn the cutting layer off now, you can see my mouth is quite wonky, so I'm going to do some edits on that and then come back and show you my finished mouth. So I finished doing the mouth. It's not an exact copy, but I'm pretty happy with it, and when I turn off my imported monster picture, it looks pretty good. I'm going to continue to do the other features now. I'm going to do the nostrils and the eyes using the blue color. So a shortcut that will help me is to use the ellipse tool to draw the nostrils and the eyes, but I'm going to zoom into that area first, so it's very close and easy to see what's going on and make sure I can see all of my eyes. With the ellipse tool selected, I can draw a little nostril here and a little nostril here. I can also draw the eye features. So I've drawn an ellipse, but it's in the wrong position, so I can just move it up like this, and also use the direct selection tool to modify it if it's too big. If that becomes too hard, delete it and have another go. So I have one eye drawn. An easy thing to do is using the selection tool is select all of that eye, Control C to copy, Control V to paste, move the eye over, and then go into Object, Transform, Reflect, and I want to do a vertical reflection, OK, and then I have my eyes copied over. Control Alt 0 to see the whole thing. So there I have a monster. I'm going to File, Save. I can delete layer 1 now. I don't need that anymore. I've got the cutting layer, but I need to convert these blue lines to black lines. So using the selection tool, I select the eye, click on the stroke, change the B to 0, click OK. Be careful when you're selecting the mouth that you don't select any of the outline. You can see I clicked the outline there. Click outside to deselect. I'm just going to go a bit smaller with my selection space. I don't need to get all of the dimple in, just a section of it. And you can see now I have the mouth selected. Change that to black as well. File, save, and we're ready to go.